This is Caitlin, your host of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, where we get no sleep and survive on coffee to watch just one more episode at night. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast. I have something really special for you guys today. It is, of course, a Korean drama review, as you can tell from the title, and we are reviewing an older Korean drama today. And of course, since we have older Korean drama and we're reviewing it, I had to bring Carol on as a guest.
Yay!
Hi, Carol.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good. Excited to be here.
Now, this was actually your suggestion to watch, so of course we obviously had to talk about it. So you have watched this already, obviously. I have never seen it.
Shocked when you said you'd never. So I think we were trying to decide between two dramas and then we couldn't find one on official platforms. So we decided to watch, well, I recommended this. I haven't watched this in years. So
Uh-huh.
I think this would be my fourth time watching this show. And as I was sitting on my couch watching it, it was just like, it just took me back to like the good days. I was like, this is TV. Come on now. This is TV. So I'm glad you said yes to watching.
Of course, of course. I was very excited. Of course, have heard of this drama. Like, it's a classic Korean drama. I think there was a time that, like, it just wasn't available to watch either.
That's true.
Because it is, I mean, it's a little easier nowadays with older dramas because we do have streaming sites and someone's bound to have it, depending on the country.
Yeah.
Also, this came out before I even started watching Korean dramas. This came out in 2007. I didn't start until 2008. So that's probably another reason.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and back then we didn't have Netflix, so you're not
Right.
necessarily sure what to go watch, etc.
Exactly. Exactly. So that is the Korean drama we are going to be reviewing today. But first, we obviously have to ask, as always, Carol, what are you currently watching?
I'm not watching much, but we won't get into the disappointment of that. I am watching Prisoner of Beauty, which is a C drama, and I'm watching that on Viki, and it's just beautiful, and I'm so in love with the female lead because I think that she's very smart, she's very like strategic, and it's her strategy that I really love. And I love the male character too. I've watched all of his shows now and I enjoy watching him.
Oh,
And I'm
I need to
watching,
watch that one.
oh, yeah, you do. You do. Once you get through your unlimited list that you're on right now.
I guess that's a good thing, though. Like,
Yeah.
never have anything to run out of watching. But yes, that means I can't watch new stuff that everybody's gushing about. It's all over my TikTok. Like, literally, I can't open TikTok without seeing something.
And then I'm watching Heart Pairing, which is a Korean dating show on Viki. And this, it's no, is it Heart Signal? But in this version, people want to get married versus just dating. So I guess the
Okay.
stakes are higher, if you will.
Right.
I'm watching Nine Puzzles, which just got released on D Plus with Sun Soku and Kim Dami, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's a detective one. Um, there's one more that I'm watching. Oh, it just got released today. Our Unwritten Soul with Park Bo Young and Jin Young on Netflix, which I will be checking out after this.
Nice.
I did finish Dear Hongrang.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you like it?
No.
I've seen a couple of people not like it, and I've also seen people who love it. So I'm curious to watch it because I don't know where I'll be on that one. Because I've gotten the impression that it's a little more on the dark mystery side. Obviously, there's romance in it somewhere, so I might like it. But if this mystery's not done well, I'm probably not going to like it. So I don't know.
think you're going to like it because I feel like it really is shallow. It's shallow.
Oh,
That's
okay.
the
Yeah?
yeah. It's shallow.
I've seen that, yeah.
It doesn't have the depth that a historical drama typically has. It feels
Mhm.
more contemporary in that, like, for example, Skinship was too quickly. We had a whole sex scene and some other stuff. I won't give you spoilers, but yeah, I wasn't too impressed, especially with that scene. And I people are going crazy over it, and I'm just like, really? Okay. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk
Yes, yes.
about
True,
time.
true. I'll go quickly on some things I'm watching.
Yes,
I
please.
have to rewatch Flower of Evil for a podcast episode, so that's basically what I'll be rewatching next week
Again?
because, again, this'll be my 5th time rewatching it. But I'm bringing on a guest who has never seen it before. It was really for her to watch it, and I'll be like,
Okay.
"Yeah, I'm here. I'll watch it again because it's one of my favorite ever."
Okay.
That's pretty much what I'm probably gonna be concentrating on. I'm also rewatching Love Like the Galaxy again for another podcast episode, review. So
It's
that's
like
my
50
2nd
something.
time. I know. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I'll just stick with that. I
Okay.
have some other things I'm watching too, but that's fine. We're not here to talk about what we're watching. All right, so let's get into this. I guess I have another question. Carol, so why did you suggest reviewing this? Like, what made you want to have me watch it for the first time and then you like revisit it? Is there like a reason?
Yeah. First of all, I know you're into crime and cops and you like those shows. So I was like, okay, I think this is something you'll like. But more importantly, I was sort of being a hater a little bit
Okay.
because people were raving about Gangnam Side B. Was it Gangnam Side
Mhm.
B? With
Yeah,
like
something like that.
Ji Chang Wook and I want to say Wee Ha Jun. And I watched it and I was like, this is just a replay of Time Between Dog and Wolf, but it wasn't done better. Yeah, I wasn't feeling it.
You're talking about Worst of Evil.
Worst of Evil. My bad. Yes.
Ji Chain Wook also did the Gangnam B-side, but I don't think Wee Ha
Okay.
Jun was in that
No,
one.
no,
But
no,
yes,
no,
I
no.
understand that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Worst of Evil. Yeah, you're right. And so I was kind of like, I need people to go back and watch Time Between Dog and Wolf.
Mhm.
And then I was just like, Caitlin, let's do this. So thank you for saying yes.
Of course, of course. And I mean, we aren't always going to be watching older dramas, but I'm not going to lie. I have you here on the host so we can talk about older dramas. Because again, as I said, before 2008, I have not seen a lot of older dramas before that. And also, people who might listen have never seen older dramas and they might not know about them.
You know what's interesting? 2007 was a great year for K dramas. And 8, by people who have watched for a long time, they're like, ugh, 2008 was a bad year, which is so interesting that that's when you came in and you stayed.
Right.
Yeah, another episode, we can talk about like what made you stay, like which shows really made you stay. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, cool. Reviewing in terms of like the format of a review, I probably have said this multiple times, but I will introduce the K drama. In this case, it's Time Between Dog and Wolf. We'll talk about the synopsis, the cast, and then our overall feelings, non-spoiler feelings of the drama with a little mini review and rating, and then we will go in the spoiler territory, and we of course will say spoiler warning, that type of thing, and then deep dive into this K drama. So, going into introing, this aired in July 18th, 2007 to September 6th. Time Between Dog and Wolf has 16 episodes. And I'm just going to basically read off the My Drama List synopsis, maybe paraphrasing a little bit because it's really long. Basically, after his mother is brutally murdered in front of him by a Thai criminal syndicate, Lee So-hyun is adopted into the NIS agent Kang Jung-ho's family. And together with his son, Kang Jung-ho's son, So-hyun becomes an NIS agent. And then you bring in the female lead who has met them when they were a child in Thailand, and she comes back and they reunite in Korea. And he goes undercover in this Thai criminal syndicate to get revenge. And then we have his adopted brother be an NIS agent on the side, and then you have the female lead who has her own role in this scenario, which I'm not going to reveal right now because that's a spoiler. And so it's So-hyun's path of revenge and how that all culminates to the end and what we got at the end. And along the way, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. All right. So moving on to the cast. The directors, there was one, Kim Jin Min, who also directed My Name, Extracurricular, Lawless Lawyer, just to name a couple. Screenwriters, there were two of them. We have Han Ji Hoon, who also wrote Woman of 9.9 Billion, Temptation, not the more famous Temptation. It was another Temptation, which I looked at. And then Time Slip Dr. Jin. And then the other screenwriter was Roo Young Jae, who wrote Parasite the Grey, Money Heist Korea, and then Pied Piper. Have you seen any of these dramas? Want to comment on the director or screenwriters?
With the director, I think I understand his style looking at My Name, Lawless Lawyer, and Extracurricular. I think he likes the
Absolutely.
undercover stuff a lot. Screenwriters, I have seen Women of 9.9 Billion, Temptation, Time Slip, and Dr. Jin was the last last one I saw from her. And sorry, from him. And then I've seen Money Heist. Yeah, those are the
Mhm.
ones I've seen. What about you?
I've seen, of the director, I've seen My Name and Extracurricular, and I do agree. He obviously, yes, goes for the undercover scenario. Also, just
Yeah.
like action in general. That's his
Yeah.
thing. And then for Han Ji Hoon, I've seen Women of 9.9 Billion, which is a really interesting out there drama, in my opinion. I have not seen the other two. And then Roo Young Jae, Parasite the Grey is a fantastic sci fi drama if anybody wants to watch it. Yes, it's based off of the very famous anime, and Japanese have done an adaptation of it as well. And I also have watched, I think, at least part one of Money Heist. I can't remember if I actually watched part two or not,
Okay.
but I saw half of Money Heist. And I also have seen Pied Piper. That's a very, very famous classic crime drama as well. So I was actually really surprised to see Pied Piper on the list. I was not anticipating that.
Did that influence like how you felt about the show, like going in, being like, huh, okay, this might be good?
No, because I looked at this after the fact I finished it. I was actually more surprised about Parasite the Grey because I was not anticipating a writer from Parasite the Grey to have
Okay.
written this, really, because it's just completely off left field of what you get
Yeah.
in this Korean drama. Women of 9.9 billion makes more sense. All right, so the main roles, we have three main roles. We have wow, I almost saw I almost said Lee Ha-joon. It's not Lee Ha-joon. We have Lee Joon-gi, who of course was in Flower of Evil, Lawless Lawyer, and of course Moon Lovers. Shout out to Jess on her constant hate of Moon Lovers. We just talked about that this morning. And then the female lead is Nam Sung Mi, who I have not seen since 2017, 2018, something like that.
Right?
She was in Gunman and Joseon, which also is a Lee Joon-gi's drama, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And then my last drama I ever watched her in was Let Me Introduce Her, which is a crazy plastic surgery drama, which I actually quite enjoyed. But that was her last drama that she's ever done, according to MDL, and from my memory as well, including movies. Like, she just has never done anything.
I think she got married.
I think I read somewhere that she opened like a B&B or something. Like she
Yeah.
quit acting and went into owning a company or something like that.
Yeah, I remember something like that. I feel like it said she got married to a businessman and
Mhm.
then she was out of the game.
Right, right. And then lastly, our last lead is Jung Kyung Ho, of course. He stars in Hospital Playlist, Life on Mars, Prison Playbook. Very, very famous.
I love him so much.
I do too. He's one of my faves, of course. You want to comment on any of these dramas or actors for that matter?
Wish we could get Nam Sung Mi back, but if she's happy, she's happy. I think she was such a huge part of my growing up in K
Yeah.
dramas.
Uh-huh.
And I have seen all the dramas that you've listed here, and Jung Kyung Ho is definitely one of my favorite. He's so lovable.
Yeah.
And interestingly, the other drama that I had said we should watch, he's in it too.
He is. Yes. He has a drama coming out in like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, where he's like a
It's like a
lawyer for,
comedy.
yeah, for ghosts or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy.
I also love both of the male leads. I mean, I know of the female lead. I've only seen like one of her other dramas though, so I'm more
Okay.
versed in the
Okay.
other two's works and everything. But you are absolutely correct that this was her era. She was
Yes.
everywhere in 2007, 2006, whatever. So I definitely know of her. All right, so we're gonna move into some of the support cast. This is not everybody. This has a large support cast where you will probably recognize everybody and
Everybody.
anybody who now plays like mothers, fathers, evil ministers of the historical dramas, like everything. Um, we have Choi Jae-sung. We have Lee Gi-young. Choi Jae-sung, you might recognize him from Designated Survivor. He also has done a lot of daily dramas lately, like the last 4 or 5 of them, he's been in daily dramas. I think the last one he was in was My Merry Marriage, which just ended. He always
Okay.
plays like a father. He ends up dying in a lot of them, actually. Young, he was in Happiness. He was the crazy like CEO in Happiness. He was in Bad Mouth. He was in
Yes.
Vagabond. Sung Ji Roo was in Duty After School. I think he was like a gym teacher or something in Duty. I can't remember his role. Bad and Crazy. He was in that crazy show. And then he also was in Rookie Historian Go Hey Wrong, which I think he was like one of the ministers. Kim Gob-soo, he was in Queen of Tears, Hospital Playlist Season 2, and Sweet Home. I don't remember him in Sweet Home, but he was there. Jung Kyung-soon, back in the day, she was, like, one of the actresses who played, like, Mom, like,
Yeah.
a lot. I
Yeah.
remember her as Mom. Recently, she's been in Red Swan, Marry My Husband, and Blossom Steal the Fate. And then lastly, I'll mention Park Hyuk-kwon. He was recently in Light Shop, Reborn Rich, and Law School. All famous within their own right, really.
Absolutely.
Do you wanna comment on any of these people or dramas in general?
I think with our first, was it the second gentleman, Lee Gi-young? It's so interesting to see him go from being like the sweet and caring dad to like a
Mm,
villain. Because
yeah,
nowadays I see him more like a villain than
right,
positive character.
right.
Yeah. And Kim Gapsu, I feel like I have an impression of him being a villain my whole life.
All the time, all the time. I was not surprised that what his character was in this
Yeah.
drama. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move into overall review, spoiler free. Do you want me to go first?
Okay, you go first.
Okay. I like this a lot more than I thought I would. And really, I didn't know what to expect at the same time. I probably was biased. I thought I wouldn't like it a lot because of the age of it
Okay.
being
Wow.
from 2007, but I really, really, actually really like this drama. But not for the things I think people might want to.
Okay.
And again, I don't wanna go into spoilers yet. So there's definitely things I did not like about this drama, and I had qualms with it. It's not the perfect drama, but I loved the bromance you got in it. I
Yeah.
loved the light makjang tendencies. There's definitely other shows that go full makjang, but this was light makjang, and I
Yeah.
loved every second of it because I did not anticipate it.
Yeah.
And it was just the characters in this were so well done and so well written that, again, I was not expecting that. I don't know why. I just didn't. If we were watching the other one you were had mentioned, I think I
Yeah.
had more of an impression of what that would have been about versus this because I had no idea walking into this one. And so I think my expectations were just not there. So what I got, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Okay.
So, overall, I like this a lot more. Again, I did have a couple issues which we'll discuss, but overall,
Yeah.
I would highly recommend this one.
I'm glad you liked it because I was low key holding my breath and you weren't DMing me. You only DM'd me once with your reaction. You're like, I'm looking forward to talking about this. And I'm like, give me more, give me more. But I'm really glad you liked it overall. Yes, there are some issues. There are some tropes that we're so tired of, but I think for this drama it worked. They found a right balance between makjang and um like serious talk and being more into the detective and more into okay, let's investigate like what's happening and who said what. And oh my god, the lack of communication.
Yes,
Oh,
serious lack of communication
that
or
was
the
wild.
lack of listening.
Yes, yes, that was wild. So, yeah, I'm glad you liked it. I loved it because I thought the story it had different dimensions.
Absolutely.
And so I felt like I could watch this and get like comedy and cry and be angry and be like, "Kill that." Yeah. So
Yeah.
I was all over the place.
Yeah. It was also interesting because obviously most of these people were in their 20s doing this drama.
Yes.
It was interesting watching this and then watching one from nowadays, 'cause,
Yeah.
most of these people are still acting. Obviously,
Yeah.
we said the female lead is not, but, I mean, Lee Joon-gi was 25 when he did this drama, and now he's in his mid-40s. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was interesting to see, like, him act in this, and then, as I said, I'm rewatching Flower of
Flower
Evil
of
next
Evil.
week, so it'll be interesting to see the difference of his dynamic in, I mean, completely different stories, but still, so that
Yes.
was a lot of fun to watch.
Yes, and I think as a longtime watcher, I think that's the magic with still being in K-dramas or still watching certain actors because
Yeah,
you saw where they came from and you saw
right,
like how they're developing with each story. So you're so invested in everything they do. But yeah, you can do the same by going back to their old stuff.
absolutely, yeah, yeah. So what would you rate this out of 10?
Ooh, out of 10, maybe I'll give it like an 8.
Okay, I gave it an 8.5.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I gave it an 8.5 because, again, this has makjang tendencies, and I eat
Yeah.
that up so
Yeah.
much. Probably a lot of the tropes that might annoy other people in this, it does not annoy me.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Alright, so this is the spoiler warning. We are going to be deep diving into this. Yes, we are reviewing a 2007 drama, so if you wanna continue listening, you can. It's been out for a while, or you can go watch this and come back, but this is your spoiler warning. We are going to be dissecting this very much so. Where do we wanna start in this? Do we wanna do chronological, or do we wanna go, like, character-wise?
We can go character-wise.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just dive into Lee Joon-gi's character. Obviously, this drama is about him. I will say, I think overall, even though it is centered around his life, his dilemma, it is as much of a drama about him as it is about his adopted brother.
Yeah.
And For me, they took the same path, but they didn't take the same path at the same
Yes.
time, which was really something I wasn't anticipating at all. Because obviously when you read the synopsis, you think it's all gonna be about Lee Joon-gi, and that's
Yeah.
it. Um, let's start, like, right at the beginning. Lee Joon-gi's character, it took me a while to get into this drama
Okay.
because to have almost 2 episodes full of childhood stuff, which understandably, like, to have it in there, it was needed. Like, you couldn't just go into well, first off, let's start this off. The first scene that this opens up is not a childhood scene. It's a present day shot, and it's action-packed, and then it goes flashback for the next 2 episodes, and then you eventually get back to that scene, like, 8 episodes into the drama. So
Yeah.
you start off with this, like, car chase thing. This drama definitely knows how to glue you to your seat right away because it's Lee Joon-gi driving around crazily on a port and then drives his car into the water, and you're like, "What the heck is going on?"
Yeah.
And he's getting shot at by God knows who at the time. And then it flashes back to Thailand. And I was surprised, which I don't know why I was because I did watch older dramas, but I was surprised they actually shot this in Thailand
Right?
for all the flashbacks, but for 2 complete episodes, it was in Thailand. And they
Yeah.
were speaking Thai and like all this stuff.
That really surprised me, and I think they moved away from that after a while because it was very much giving maybe budgets. They couldn't really go to
Right.
other
Right.
countries and politics and whatnot, but I loved the shots in Thailand. And as I
Yeah.
was watching it now, I was like, maybe this show is why I wanted to travel to Thailand. And I
Mm.
did because I went to all the places in that show.
Cool.
But when I went to Thailand, I wasn't thinking that. So I was just like, wow, full circle for me right now. It's all making sense. But
Mhm.
I loved the Thai shots and the production. It reminded me of Big Bets. I think Big Bets is the only other show
Okay.
that has really like shot in another country.
Yeah. So yeah, so the first 2 episodes was basically him growing up, meeting Nam Sung-mi's character as Ari? That's her name in Thailand. Jung Kyung-ho does not come in until the 2nd episode as a kid, and then eventually they all grow up. The first episode was really Lee Joon-gi and then eventually Nam Sung-mi's character as children, and a lot happened in the first episode because they literally did his entire backstory of why he wanted this revenge in 1 episode.
Yeah.
And then eventually you get into more details and more things are revealed. But the entire reason why he wanted revenge is he had a mother who was a prosecutor working in Thailand. It was unclear. I'm assuming it was the embassy lawyer. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that because it obviously wasn't like Thailand court. And she ends up investigating something she shouldn't have and gets into trouble and then gets shot in front of him. And he's like 10 at the time. And due to a family friend being an NIS agent, the NIS agent decides, played by Lee Young, decides to bring him back to Korea and effectively adopt him at 10. And then he is raised in his house in Korea. That was, like, so well done in terms of the setup because that scene of his mom getting shot,
Yeah.
the angle and the camera angles of that made it more visceral of what was going on, and obviously there was a bunch of trauma dealt to this kid afterwards. Then he meets Ari and, of course, meets her father. I don't remember if he meets the mother, but he meets the father, which I was like, "Oh, crap. Here we go." Because at the time, you didn't know who he was. Like, you knew who he was because you knew he was a drug lord, but you didn't know the relationship that they were eventually gonna have when he first originally meets this guy. Given his mom is a prosecutor, they kinda went the tropey route where he's kind of a daredevil. He's not the worst kid in the world, but he definitely does some things he's not supposed to be doing, especially with a mom as a prosecutor. He learns this handshake that apparently was very much a Thailand drug dealer handshake, and then he does it in front of his mom, and his mom is like, "What the heck? Where did you learn that from?"
Never do
Um,
that again.
yeah, and then 30 minutes later, he essentially sees the man shoot his mom, which you find out later, spoiler, is Ari's father. Ari's father killed his mom in front of him. And then that is the ill-fated relationship we have for the rest of the drama.
Oh my gosh. I was so heartbroken
Yeah.
when he discovered it. Oh my
Mhm.
god. Yeah, he was devastated.
Devastated. Yeah. But the one thing I will say, it was weird, and maybe it's just because I felt like he didn't remember. I mean, granted, it was a huge trauma thing. He obviously somewhat blocked it out in a way. And yes, he discovered that he was the father, but I feel like his reaction, it was delayed somehow. And maybe I missed something.
Are you talking about Ari's dad?
Yeah, like Lee Joon-gi's reaction to realizing that Ari's dad was the one that killed his mom,
Okay.
I felt like was a delayed reaction. Because I don't know, I think it maybe he just didn't have the reaction I was assuming he was gonna have. I don't really know.
Okay. When he discovers it though, he's in the middle of an operation
True.
and they're in a
Yes.
restaurant and he's playing the role of a server, and
Yes.
then he places the hidden camera on, like he tries to hide it, and that's when her dad raises his hand and he recognizes the scar.
Right.
And that's
Right.
when, because he's been having bad dreams about, that moment. And that's when it clicks for him. So I felt like, oh, what the heck? This is the man, but I'm also in an operation right now. What do I do? So that's
Right, and he
how,
did freak out in that
yeah,
operation, I will say, yeah. But then later he finds out that she is his daughter, which is a second thing that he didn't
yes,
know for a really long
yeah.
time.
But even that, I think, I think that reaction was delayed because he drove off to Han River and then he screamed.
Yeah. He did a lot of screaming in this
He
drama,
did. He did.
definitely. Yeah. The first one I think was a little more believable. I think that second one was okay, I understand you again were on your mission. You couldn't just attack the guy,
Yeah.
but you had to like go and scream at a river, which again, you are ill-fated lovers. Understandable. I was anticipating a different reaction, but I don't really know what that reaction would have been. And so the play out of that, eventually it was very satisfying because he did eventually have the reaction, I thought. Moving into the second part of it though. So he goes into Korea, he gets adopted by the NIS agent, and then they grow up. They get over their differences. When I say they, Jung Kyung Ho's character and Lee Joon Gi become brothers,
Brothers.
and they knock heads at first and then eventually are okay. And then they grow up, and then along with their father, they both become NIS agents.
Yeah.
I was not anticipating Lee Joon-gi's character be kicked out of the NIS. I thought he would like just go undercover as an NIS agent. So that's why I messaged you. I was like, "Wait, he's getting kicked out? What? What's going on?"
I think I had watched enough by that point to know that they'll find a way to get him undercover. So I
Mhm.
knew when I was watching, but I did not think that that goody two shoes supervisor would report him instead of going to
Right.
talk to their dad first.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that part was like, Jesus Christ, this man lives by the book. And in my mind, I'm like, Carol, that's the right thing to do. But
Right.
can you like not reach out to their dad and be like,
Have your agents back for once.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was that was wild. Yeah.
Lee Joon-gi gets fired due to the freak out that we were just talking about. when he tries to plant a listening device into this meeting of drug lords, and then he finds out that the one of the drug lords is the man who killed his mom, and he freaks out, goes and has a panic attack, and then literally tries to kill the guy right there and obviously does not succeed. And he almost got away with it until they found surveillance footage and realized that that was what he was trying to do. They were like, "You're a liability. We need to fire you."
Yeah.
And this was like his dream to become an agent due to his mom. Like he
Yeah.
had motivation. He was going to become an agent, find the people that killed her, and arrest him at that point. Eventually, it was not arresting. It was obviously more down the kill you and
Darker.
bury your body and nobody's going to find you. But at that point, it was arrest. Then he gets fired and he's like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? I failed.
Going to Thailand.
Yeah, goes to Thailand. This is where I start. So my big issue is I was so annoyed with the female lead for multiple choices she made in this drama because she was always in the way. Even when she knew everything, and even when she knew who these people were that she was dealing with, when I say people, Lee Joon-gi and Jung Kyung-ho's character, she got in the way. It was just like, "Woman, they're
Okay.
telling you don't go, and you still are going." She follows him to Thailand because she saw him buy an airline ticket.
Yeah.
And he's going there to basically try and find her father and kill him without knowing who he actually is yet. And she just shows up on the airplane, is like, "I'm going with you," but has no idea why he's even going to Thailand, let
Yeah.
alone any history of what happened. Like at this point, she doesn't know his mom even died, like, or how she died. Nothing.
She was definitely an annoying character because I'm trying to think. Did they portray her as I don't think they portrayed her as really smart, but she was a really good arts dealer. And it's interesting to like
Yeah.
watch shows back in the day. They've definitely had traditional feminine like jobs for women. So she was
Right.
an arts dealer and she had a drug lord dad. She wasn't in contact with him anymore. She was with a new guy, like her new dad, and my thing with her was I think she had the privilege of like running wild and free because part of me believes she knew her dad could solve her issues, her real dad
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
solve her issues. All the mistakes and stuff she was making, when it came to it, she would always run to her real dad to help her solve
Right.
an issue. What I did like about her though was she was very forward with like
Oh, yeah.
kisses, holding hands, sleeping in the same room. I was like,
Mhm.
whoa, whoa,
Mhm.
whoa. Is this 2007? What's happening here? Like, why?
She also, like, knew when not to back down. Like,
Yes,
even when she had, like, a gun pointed at her, she still was like,
yes,
"I am not moving, so you can shoot this
exactly.
dude."
Yeah,
So, yeah, she had qualities I liked, but other qualities I was just like, "Girl, you need to leave. You need to mind your business."
I know.
Because half the time when she showed up and she's like, "I'm not leaving," especially dealing with the 2 male leads, she was making the mission even more dangerous than it already was just by
Yeah,
being there.
yeah, yeah. She was annoying in that sense.
Yeah,
I couldn't stand her in those moments. I'm like, what are you doing here?
yeah,
But she did end up saving him in Thailand.
she did.
So,
She did. She did. Yes.
she came through when she needed to come through.
They're in Thailand. She's angry at him because she thought they'd just be on a vacation. And he's off trying to find these people. He's not smart in this first trip to
No,
Thailand. He has a death wish, basically. He either is like, I'm going to find this guy or I'm going to die trying because he doesn't really care.
which really brought it down for me a little because I think
Hmm.
in episode maybe 2 or 3, they really hyped it up to be like he's the better student than his brother. He's smarter and more strategic than his brother. His brother is more, I'm just here for the vibes. I'm
Right.
just chilling. I'm using security information to find a girl I have a crush on. Like he's not taking the job seriously. So when he went to Thailand that first time and he was, I guess, driven by emotion, I
Right.
was really shocked by that. Yeah. I expected more preciseness.
Yeah, and but I think you make a good point. I think he was driven by emotion. Like he didn't care. He
Yeah.
just was like, I lost my job, but I still want to fulfill this thing that I was motivated to do the job in the first place. So I'm going to do whatever I can to get it done.
Yeah.
Obviously, he failed big time. He almost died. And at that point, his not foster, his adopted brother had shown up as well because he's like, what the heck are they doing in Thailand? And they managed to find him half dead after he got beat up and everything and tortured,
Yeah.
along with Sung Ji Roo's character, who I love him. He was great in this
Yeah.
drama.
Yeah.
He was like they called him an information broker. He essentially used to be an NIS agent, had to leave NIS because he sold something for money, like information for money, and that's basically what he did to survive. Is he ended up in Thailand prison for 7 years, something like that, maybe less, 5 years, whatever. And then he became this information broker and knew everybody who was anybody,
Yes.
had a lot of connections. So the the adopted son used him to find Lee Joon-gi's character, and then they got him out of there, and he had been tortured. But the hilarious thing I found is, like, no one thought he was an NIS agent. He was being tortured because they thought he was a rival gang member
Yeah.
trying to get information,
Yeah.
and he was going about it poorly. So I was like, "Oh, okay. Alright. I mean, sure, but oh my god, why would you think he's a rival gang member? He can't do anything."
That's
He's so
true.
green at it, like, very naive.
Yeah.
Eventually, they go back to Korea, and then that is where the whole rest of the story starts, because I can't remember who came up with the brilliant plan. I'm assuming the director did, right?
The director did,
Their director did, yeah.
Kim Gapsu.
Yeah, yeah. So due to this little trip of Thailand, Kim Gopsu, who's the director of NIS, like, the entire thing, in his scheming weasel ways, decides to say like, "Oh, okay, well, Lee Joon-gi's giving me an opportunity. I'm gonna
Let me
use
use
him."
it. Yeah.
And he approaches Lee Joon-gi and is like, "Hey, so you have nothing to lose. You want this revenge. I'm gonna make you an undercover agent by killing you, and you're gonna go undercover in Thailand, and no one's gonna know except for your adoptive father and me."
And Lee Jin-gu says, "Yes."
Yep. Just says, "Okay, sure." And they end up killing him, and he goes and lives in Thailand for 2 years,
I think
and they
we
do a
also
time jump.
Yes, but I think we also have to highlight, so he is now in a relationship with the female lead.
Yes.
And mind you, his brother also really liked the female lead. So this
Yes.
was back in the time in K-dramas where brothers, cousins, if they like the same girl, it was very much may the best man win.
Mhm.
Jung Kyung Ho's character had sort of said, "You better take care of her. Don't make her cry. Like, I'm going to back off now." And then they're in a relationship. And then this now comes in where he essentially dies.
Yeah, which I was really surprised when Jung Kyung Ho just decided to back off. I was
Yes.
not anticipating that because, as you said, in these types of dramas, that usually does not happen.
Yeah.
And it's like to the bitter end, someone's gonna come out on top. So I was anticipating that, but obviously that did not happen. So I did like that a lot because he did back off. Just to enter a relationship and then you're gone in a week. after that. They were, like, dating for, like, a month, a week,
Yeah.
something like that. It was very fast, and then he just up and dies, and they did it in a way where no one would ask questions, and he just left and went to Thailand, and there was a 2-year difference. What he was doing in Thailand, he was trying to get into where he needed to go to get to the people he wanted to add influence and be able to become this right-hand man of essentially the guy who killed his mom.
Yeah.
And he was taking odd jobs, he was helping out at the nightclubs, he was doing Mai Tai? Muay Thai? Muay
Muay
Thai?
Thai?
I think that's how you pronounce it. Competitions because he knew her dad was a fan, and that's what he was doing for 2 years until he pops up again, and we have a time jump. He shows up, he pops up again looking very different what he did when he was in Korea. And then Jung Kyung Ho and Nam Sung Mi are still in Korea, and they're not dating, which I was also surprised at. But at the same time, like, she was so in love with Lee Joon-gi's character.
Yeah.
It made sense why they weren't dating.
Yeah, it did, but I think one of the things I hated the most is there was this sort of culture of even if she says she doesn't like you, keep trying till you
Yeah,
wear her down and then
yeah,
she'll like you. And that's a trope I hate.
yeah, definitely.
He's like always reaching out to her, always like having dinner with her or drinks, and she's trying to avoid him. And he, like, she's going to see my heart and love me. And I just have to keep trying. And I'm just like, dude, let her
Right,
grieve.
right.
Yeah. And then he gets upset that she's not over him.
Yeah, then he gets really upset, which is a common thing for most of the drama after they do this 2-year time jump. Eventually, Lee Joon-gi saves her father's life in this match, and he starts being a henchman, basically, and getting an in. And that's when he kind of pops up again and is now sort of talking to the director, is obviously talking to his adopted father again because they both know he's undercover. And they also enter Korea again because her father decides that he wants to open a Korea drug, I don't know what you would
Branch.
call it. He branch? Yeah, yeah. He enters Korea again after being gone for, I don't know, 10 years, something like that. And so they all pop up again and Lee Joon-gi's like, Yeah, we're coming back to Korea." And his adoptive father's like, "What? What do you mean, what?" He's like, "Yeah, we're coming to live in Korea again." So they're all in Korea now, trying to establish this drug branch of Asian, Japanese, Filipino, Chinese, Russian conglomerate of drug lords,
Yeah.
basically. And then of course she sees him again eventually. The entire 2 years, she obviously is grieving him. She probably has seen him in her mind, like,
Yeah.
hallucinating or thinks he's walking in front of her. We saw that play out a little bit where she thought he was in the museum, and then they catch up with the guy and it's not him. And then it's almost also a bunch of, like, they almost meet type situations for a good episode or so. And so she after 2 years, she finally decides, like, "Okay, I need to get over him. I need to move on. I need to do whatever." And then she goes and talks to Jung Kyung Ho's character and is like, "Okay, I'm ready. I'm good." Literally the next day, she sees him, and it's like a one-off again. Her drug lord father shows up, and he's just like, "I'm in Korea again. Just wanna say I'm here. I
Yeah.
don't want anything." And she walks him out the door, and there's Lee Joon-gi's character
My
letting him in the
God.
car.
My God. My God. It was so like, you're going to move on. Bam. Here I am again. It's just like a toxic ex who keeps showing up.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I was just like, "Oh, here we go. Here we
Yeah.
go." And then beyond that, I hated Jung Kyung Ho's character in these couple of episodes because it's like he goes off the deep end when it
He
comes to
does.
her and just is like lashing out at her. And part of it, yes, I understand, is like a grief thing where he also sort of couldn't accept that his brother essentially died very dramatically and very suddenly. So I don't think he also had processed that entire scenario.
Yeah.
But then you just add a girl that he likes and wants to move on with, and she just can't let go of the guy.
Yeah.
And then she comes about and is like, "I saw him. Like, it's him. He's alive." And he's like, "You are crazy." He literally takes her to meet his parents, and the next day, the next day, she sees him.
I loved that parents' meeting because of her conversation with his dad.
I did too.
That
Yeah.
was just, like, private. I was like, "Wow, this is so" it's so cool because he has no idea what the dad said
Yeah.
because he doesn't have that level of clearance, but even just, like, the dad knowing that, especially knowing that his, Lee Joon-gi's character is still alive, loved
Right.
it. Ate it right up. Yeah.
Yeah. And also just added to the tension too, because obviously he knew who her father was,
Yes.
and she didn't know he knew
Yeah.
at the time, but he basically was like, "You're gonna have to make my son quit his job so we don't run a background check on you, because we do it on every spouse, and you're never gonna be able to get in a relationship if he has to run a background check on you."
Yeah.
It was very straightforward, and it made sense. It wasn't like the typical, "I'm gonna give you $100,000 and you're gonna walk away from this relationship." It was like, "No, this is a real plausible thing that's going to happen if you pursue this marriage, and he's gonna find out stuff about you that you may not want him to find out, but
Yeah.
also we will never let you be in a relationship if he's an agent." Which I found very refreshing.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I really liked that, when when she comes out of the office, she's shaken. I think anytime she looks shaken, I'm like, "Ooh, you're selling it. I believe you." But
Yeah.
she looked shaken and she's just like, "I wanna go home, just let it be. I'll talk to you soon." And then she disappears. But in that moment, I was kinda like, "Oh, so you do know your dad is a drug lord." Like, for a long time, I felt
Right.
like, did she know and she was denying it, or did she not know at all? She was always playing that game, and
Or she might know, like, he does some sketchy stuff, but doesn't
yeah.
actually know what he does.
And so, like, when this is later on, we'll come back to that. I was gonna say something else, and I was like, "No, we're going chronological." Go ahead.
Okay, so they start running into each other because Lee Joon-gi's character has started becoming her father's right-hand man, so he's
Yeah.
going everywhere with the guy and is really getting the guy's trust and is just pissing everybody else off who wants to be the right-hand man, really.
Yeah.
Um And then we get to the scene we got at episode 1.
Finally, we're here.
We're here. So this is like episode 8, episode 7, something like smack dab in the middle. So we gave at the beginning of the drama, you are seeing a scene that you will get to in literally the middle of the drama, which I like because it's like, okay, you got all the background, you got what led up to this show. Now you know it's all just gonna fall apart after this scene. Did it fall apart in the way I assumed it was going to? Absolutely not. No way. So he due to him making other people angry because they are in Korea, they're trying to establish this branch. They're obviously going up against rival gangs. They literally start a gang war. It all culminates to this action-packed scene on the port where other gang people are trying to use so it is very well known that her father has a daughter,
Yeah.
and they are constantly trying to use her to get her father to do something
Yeah.
or kidnap her for leverage. The fact he is now in Korea makes it an issue because that has basically
Both.
started frequently happening. Yeah, emboldened them a lot. So she goes to the port to do her own little art dealing thing, nothing to do with her father at all. And Lee Joon-gi's character is also there doing what he does for her father. And he finds out that she is a target of a rival gang at the port. And so he swoops in and takes her in a car and attempts to rescue her, which he does. That scene of her getting in the car and just like staring at him, like obviously seeing a ghost, was nuts.
While bullets are flying and
Yeah, bullets
he's
flying, racing around, crashing in the cars, trying to
yeah,
get away as possible. He does drop her off. She, as you said, is shell shocked and plays it off very well.
yeah,
And he starts running away again and they all chase him because they think she is still in the car.
yeah,
And this culminates to him driving off the port into the water and having an accident and basically disappearing for days.
yeah.
While she is shell shocked walking down the port and eventually runs into Jung Kyung Ho's character and basically just says, I
I
saw
saw.
I saw him. I saw him. And of course he doesn't want to listen. He's like, you're lying. Like he's dead, blah blah blah. But it was gold. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, me
But what
too.
do we get from that scene?
He being Jung Hyun Ho's character is like, not again. Like, lady, like
Yeah.
this guy is dead. Can we move on? And why are you
Yeah.
still stuck in the past? Why am I competing with someone who's dead?
Uh-huh.
And you see Lee Jung-gi's character, like his goal is to save her. One, at this point, he knows who she is and he knows that, he loves her, whatever, whatever. But did he know that she was, yeah, he also knows that she's the daughter of the guy.
Right. Yeah.
So his goal is twofold, to save her for real, but also to do his job. And the only way he could get away was to drive into the water. I
Yes.
was just surprised through that they, like Jung Kyung Ho is there. The cops didn't come in time to catch the bad guys. It was all like there was some convenience
Right. Yeah. I
happening.
mean, there was a lot of gunshots going off
Right?
during this thing and car crashes, everything.
Where are the workers at the ports who could have reported this like a long time
Right.
ago when the first
Right.
gunshot went off? But I loved that scene because the way he dropped her off and he's like, get out of the car. And she's still in shell shock, like looking at him and like saying his name. And then he screams, he's like, get out, pretty much get out of the fucking car.
Right.
And she gets out and he drives off again. That him driving with like the one hand and looking back and spinning the car, I was like, ooh, that's so hot. That's so hot. Yeah,
Yeah. All while being shot at by that
exactly.
lackey dude that you eventually come to
My
hate as well.
God. Yeah, loved it. Loved the scene.
I loved every second of it. So he drives off into the water, and then we, of course, get something I did not anticipate, but our first real makjang tendency. And that is he drives and he ends up with amnesia, like legit amnesia. At first, I thought he was faking it.
Yeah.
At first, I thought he was faking it. And then I was like, oh, you aren't faking this. Like, you
No.
really aren't. And so for the next this was like episode 7 or 8. For the next 5 or so episodes, he has amnesia and he thinks he's the gangster guy. He has no recollection of his mom dying, of his love for the female lead, NIS agent, like his undercover, nothing at all. And he
Nothing.
thinks he's this mafia guy. And he goes full into that persona.
Yo, that was the real twist because you're
Yes. Yeah.
already undercover lying and pretty much have professional amnesia. And
Mhm.
then now you've lost the amnesia for real. And so the undercover is not undercovering. And like he's not connecting with his dad. People are trying to get to him. And he's just like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, I'm this guy. I was so frustrated. I was so frustrated. And she's like trying to talk to him, the female lead, and he's being super rude to her and super dismissive. And I'm like, what is going on? Yeah.
Also loved it though, because it was interesting to see because on top of that too, it not only was him believing he was this persona thing, he also was like, as you said, it was a personality change.
Yeah.
He became a lot more reckless, a lot more dangerous. Like he fully lived that mafia lifestyle,
Yeah.
which obviously caused the female lead to be like, okay, he's not the person I loved and died for 5 episodes, which was interesting to see because at the other hand, though, you kinda even with the amnesia, they still kinda had chemistry, and they still kind of liked each other, and he didn't really know why, that he felt like this connection to her, but
Yeah.
really not, and she also the same, she's like, "That dude's a jackass, but for some reason, I can't stop trying to
Thinking
talk to
about
him."
him.
Yeah, and then you have the mistress.
Oh my God.
I loved her. I think they could have done a lot more with her character, honestly, but I loved her because on one hand, she could have been the most evil character you could possibly think of for this drama.
Hmm.
And she could have been so manipulative and probably could have been sleeping with half the guys in that house because she was
Hmm.
literally almost married to a guy 3 times her age. Because she was the daughter's age
Yeah.
and dating her father.
Yeah.
But she was loyal as hell, which I was not expecting at all, at all.
Well, she was, and I think that was like I see her as a really smart person because she's just
Yeah,
like, if I'm with the top boss, I can go shopping whenever. I have money, I have access to resources. I'm not just gonna
right.
give it up for nobody. But now,
Mhm.
if that nobody is Lee Gi, like,
Right.
what are we talking about? Like, how how much danger is too much danger? Like she was definitely into him and flirting with him and he wasn't having any of it, but yeah, it felt like Potiphar's wife. It's like a Bible story where Joseph goes into the house and the wife is like, "Ooh, who's this sexy young thing? I kind of want him." So when I was watching that, that's all I was thinking of. I was like, "Oh, this is
Right.
a retelling." But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, her character even surprised me a little just because I was not anticipating the loyalty,
Yeah.
uh, to that. But she also was, like, ingrained in the organization as well. Like, because she was so loyal, she was trusted by the father, and
Yeah.
she did the little errands for him and would show up when he needed her to, and
I don't know how to say this, but I feel like if the dad was not a drug lord, he's a really good guy.
she is, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he really loved his daughter, he really
he did.
loved his wife at the time. He took care of them. He was very emotional that he didn't have a relationship with his daughter,
Yeah,
which surprised me, and at the same time, he wasn't killing her new dad. I thought
right.
off with his head right away. He was a very complicated character for me.
Well, even with Kay,
Uh,
there were so many times he could have beaten Kay up, kicked him out, whatever, whatever. You got that he also really cared for Kay as well. Even when he was devastated when he
oh,
found out what who Kay really was.
yeah.
And you could tell because even at the end, okay, I'm not gonna, but he did something at the end I was not anticipating, which I think he did due to Kay's benefit
Yes.
in his mind. For the next 5 episodes, Lee Joon-gi has amnesia, and he is sexy walking around as a gangster, fulfilling his boss's duties. And then eventually, and he starts like they kind of start seeing each other. Not really, like because they're not officially dating or anything, but they definitely are hanging out more. The overall drug organization orders her father to kill her adoptive father because he knows too much. They tried to get boats from him, and he's a liability now
Yeah.
because they want to pull out of Korea. It's not working out. And her real drug lord father is basically, okay, I need to fulfill this duty, even though I really don't want to. He, of course, sends his most trusted man, Kay,
Okay.
to go and kill her father, which then causes the amnesia to be not amnesia anymore. Because what happens is he goes and tries to shoot the father, and the female lead runs in between the gun and her father, and that causes the flashback of him holding the gun and being between his mom and her drug lord father, and
Yeah.
everything comes back to him, and he just is traumatized all over again due to the fact that he had done some really heinous things as the right-hand man over I don't know how many years he was, helping, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years, something like that. So he is traumatized all over again and
Poor guy.
tries to kill himself
Yeah.
and doesn't go through with it. Poor guy. Just absolutely amazing acting.
Yeah.
He's screaming again, but amazing acting. But yeah, poor guy. Oh my god, like traumatized all over again. All over again.
'Cause he
We missed the
remembers
part.
exactly, I was gonna
We missed
say.
a part. We missed a part. Okay, so he remembers this, but before this happened, like a day or 2, episode or 2 before this, another reason why he's so traumatized is because they try and do a drug deal in a movie theater and it goes wrong because our NIS agent brother guy and his father tries to take him down in this movie theater and it goes completely wrong. So basically, the drug lord father takes out another gang and then in a stupid move in my opinion adopts
Hires
the
them,
gang member, yeah, hires the thugs that were working for the other gang, which you never do that in a drug
right?
war. They're not trustworthy at all.
That's why I said this drug law dad was very complicated for me
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he was very humane and emotional.
yeah, and the thug was that I can't remember his name, that he basically brought in and became more of a main character. He wanted to be the second man. He wanted to
Yeah,
be Lee Joon-gi's role, and so he hated Lee Joon-gi from the get-go. And so he took the opportunity to kill Lee Joon-gi's adopted father, aka Jung Kyung-ho's father, and made it look like Lee
yo,
Joon-gi did it.
yo. And that's
Yeah,
when the hate between the two
that's when
brothers.
the hate happens. Yes. Because Jung Kyung Ho comes into the scene. His father, I don't know how his father did it because he fell down an escalator, somehow made his way around the other side and rode the escalator back up while bleeding from multiple gunshot wound. No, a stab wound in the back
Yeah,
and died at the top again. And then Jung Kyung Ho's character comes in and thinks that Lee Joon Ging killed his father because the other
yeah.
guy ran away.
And mind you, he already hates Lee Joon-gi's character because
Yeah,
he's like, "You're reminding my girlfriend of a guy who I need her to get past so I can be with her. So you're
right.
already pissing me off. And now you kill my dad? Oh, it's on. It's on.
Yeah,
I'm gonna kill you."
yeah. Yeah, so that was a change in him I wasn't anticipating. I really
Same.
wasn't anticipating his dad dying either, but, like, I was not anticipating him going on the revenge path as well. Because you
Yeah.
think it's gonna be, like, good versus evil. He's gonna be the NIS agent that is by the book, doesn't do anything, which is crazy because at the very beginning, that's not him at all. And then he, because of his brother dying, he just tries to be his brother and
Yeah.
tries to become the straight-laced NIS agent. So you think it's going to be good versus evil, but he really goes down a path of revenge there for a while that you both are impressed, but also hate his guts for because he
Right?
he basically took the route Lee Joon-gi did when he gets kicked off at NIS, where he, like, wants to burn bridges just for his revenge and takes it out on everybody around him.
I thought it was interesting that he didn't get kicked out of the NIS like
Yeah,
Lee Joon-gi did.
yeah, I agree, I agree. So now he's on, like, the revenge path because of his father dying, thinking Lee Joon-gi did it. They arrest Lee Joon-gi, and he's in questioning, and he's cool as a cucumber. Like, not worried whatsoever. And of course, drug lord daddy calls somebody and is like, "Okay, get him out of there because we have info on you." And so he's released, which causes Jung Kyung Ho's character to go off the deep end even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's put on desk duty, but then he basically starts tailing Lee Joon-gi's character on the side and just does stuff he's not supposed to be doing, which eventually his colleagues find out because they all help him in the back room of Thailand, which is a Thai restaurant that Sung Ji-woo opened in Korea, which I love because a lot of their scenes happened in that room, in that restaurant. They all met there because they all originally met in Thailand.
Yeah. It was so cute to see that, eventually, well, no spoilers, but it was so cute to see just who was willing to help him, like his female coworker who one of my favorite lines from the show is Jung Kyung-ho's character is talking to her and he's like, "Do you smoke? Do you drink?" And then she's like, "No, I don't do any of that." And she goes into this stats like it's really bad for you, you'll die. And he just looks at her with disgust and he's like, "You live a really boring life."
Right.
Yeah. This was when he was like still a player and still
Yeah.
being a fool. But she
Right.
comes through for him in her own
She
way.
does.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple times. Multiple times. Yeah. All right. So going back to where I originally was before I forgot that we had to talk about the father's death. So he kills the other father. He gains his amnesia back. He's like traumatized as well as very injured.
Yeah.
He calls up Sung Ji-woo's character and is like, "Did you know that it was me the entire time?" And they have this whole reunion thing, which I found both funny but also heartwarming at the same time
Yeah.
because Sung Ji-woo's reaction in this was like I was laughing but also like, "Oh my god, I just love his character so much." Like, cuz he was really like a second father to both of these main roles. Because even
Yeah.
though so Lee Joon-gi, obviously, we don't know yet, but he didn't have a father for most of this drama. We'll explain that later. And then we have Jung Kyung-ho's character who obviously had a father who adopted Lee Joon-gi, but essentially his father was very, very closed off. And yes, you knew he cared for his sons, but he was very by the book,
Yeah.
not a lot of emotion, whatever. So then Sung Ji-woo, who was a good friend of their father, came in and that was the emotional support they got
Yeah.
and really cared for them as his own sons. So that reunion of realizing that he actually now remembers everything and is not this jackass mafia guy anymore is was really really touching, but then also was like heartbreaking because Lee Joon-gi was just like traumatized
The
so
dude
much, so much during that scene
the dude can't avoid trauma. Like
at all.
when he realizes he was there when his dad died and he didn't do oh man.
Yeah,
I felt for him. I felt for him.
yeah. Yeah. So now he is back to remembering everything. He decide at first he wanted to like leave, like absolutely just walk away from
Mhm.
everything. And then our stupid chief didn't let him do. So he tries to board a plane and he gets arrested again by the NPS. And at that point, he's like, after attempting to kill her father,
Yeah.
Ari's father, the main female lead's father, he didn't succeed due to her getting in between the gun and her father. He runs
Again.
off because he remembers everything. So they're all in a safe house now, so they can't get to her father anymore.
Yeah.
And he has disappeared. They have no idea where he is. And then Jung Kyung Ho is again being a
Losing
jackass
his
in that
yep.
house
Yep.
because he's one grieving his father, but also like wanting to find Kay and is now stuck in his mind babysitting these two people in a safe house instead of going after him. So, and they're like fighting at the moment. So they're not really like buddy buddy at all. That funny scene that when she went to make a phone call in the middle of the night and he walks up and he's like, "Yeah, the alarm goes off after 20 seconds." That
Yeah.
was the kind of stuff I also kind of got angry at her because it was just like, dude, you're in a safe house. Why would you attempt to make a phone call? Like, why?
And you know the situation now. You can't just do whatever you like. But that's what I mean by I think she still was relying on her privilege.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. In that mind, I'm like, "Okay, if you make that phone call, 1, they're gonna know where you are. You're putting your father in danger. 2, you're putting all the agents in the house in danger.
Right?
3, you're basically putting Lee Joon-gi, granted she didn't know it was him at the time, in danger because they know the father's alive." Like,
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah. She was silly. She was so annoying in
yeah,
those
she was
moments.
so annoying. The next big thing was one of my favorite things ever in this drama, and that is Jung Kyung-ho is obviously out for revenge, and he's tailing Lee Joon-gi's character everywhere, just trying to find a way to do something. I honestly don't know if he knew what he wanted to do because he's not really smart in these episodes
No.
at all, at all.
Also being driven by emotion.
Right. Yeah. There was a lot of driven by emotion in this drama. So he ends up tailing him to I think it was a motel, a hotel, something like that, where again,
Yeah.
they were doing another drug exchange with other people. And he just up and walks into the hotel. And there's like 15 guys versus him. He has a wish, basically. He does not care
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. He's looking
And
very disheveled these episodes.
he has like a mustache growing and just is wearing the same shirt for 5 days straight. Yeah. And it is also that pompous other henchman is there. And so he's obviously starts getting beat up and they bring him in and Lee Joon-gi now remembers everything. So he's like freaking out because he doesn't obviously want his foster adopted brother to die in front of him without
Yeah.
knowing he's actually alive. So he has to save his ass. They end up like, I don't even know how many pills, like fistfuls of these drugs in his mouth with water. And he basically gets drugged by these people in a very poor attempt to try and get the truth out of him of what he wants to do,
Mhm.
which I don't know if the other henchman guy really thought that through. I don't know. Because, in all intents and purposes of what you know about this drug going to that, it only makes people violent.
Yeah.
There was no inclination that this drug that they were making the entire show was like a truth serum or anything like that. And so you attempt to just drug the dude?
But it's also very consistent with the henchman though, because he's not very
True.
smart.
True. True. Yes, that is very true.
Yeah,
Yeah. And at that point, he's like just desperate to do something right in order
exactly.
to take Lee Joon-gi out. And so Lee Joon-gi is just standing there because he doesn't know what to do at the moment without obviously blowing his cover. And eventually, one of the best scenes is he goes and just wails on his brother for multiple punches and gets him close enough to tell him,
To chill.
chill out. You need to get out of this. I'm your brother.
Yeah,
And we need to figure this out.
yeah.
This is like episode 13 or so, 13 or 14. And so basically, what happens is all the other henchmen decide, okay, we're going to leave him to take care of this guy. He's going to go kill him because the other lackey henchman has already killed one NIS agent because he killed the father. So they
Mhm.
put it Lee Joon-gi is smart in saying, "You don't want another one on your hands. You effed up the first time because I got arrested, so I don't wanna get arrested again."
Exactly. So I will handle this one. You guys go.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So he gets him out of there. He is high as hell, like, does not know where he is, and takes him to the safe house that Sung Ji-woo took Lee Joon-gi once he
Gain his
remembered
memory.
everything.
Yeah,
Because you, like, don't have any self-service and can't be found in that area, and leaves him there because he has to go back and kinda report that, "I did kill this dude,
yeah.
he's gone, we're good to go." I loved everything about that.
Loved that scene. I love that scene because brother wakes up and he's disoriented and he's just like, did that happen? Did that know what the hell just happened? And Ajashi comes and like tells him
Right.
and just the disbelief and like all the emotions he went through in that scene.
Mhm.
I was like, this is the stuff I'm talking about. Come on now. Yeah. It
Right.
was really good
Right.
because this guy had so much hate for him. Now
Right.
all of a sudden he's having empathy because my God, he did not know. And how could he have not known? And you see him wrestling with that. And then, yeah, it was a really good scene.
Right. Yeah. And then Lee Joon-gi shows up again at the safe house and gets punched multiple times. Just
He's
and
like,
I
I
mean,
don't believe you.
and then they calm down and they have a conversation. And again, I love that scene because at first it's just like Jung Kyung Ho's character is just like, I'm so mad at you. I need to at least hit you once.
Yeah.
Because and I think this is also a testament to his character too, because even when he was actively competing against Lee Joon-gi's character for the female lead and to try to get her to notice him,
Yeah.
one of the first things he says is, "You're not gonna tell the female lead. You're gonna do that to her. You're going to just keep living this life in order to get your revenge, and you're gonna leave her in the dark." And I was like, "That's his character. That is
Yeah.
totally his character," which is why I kinda probably had second lead syndrome a little bit in this drama, a little bit, because like, that just reaction overall I mean, I think overall, I just did not see how Lee Joon-gi's character at this point, I didn't see how it would end up and they would be happy at all.
Yeah.
Because he was just so gung ho on the revenge all the time, and I just, like, saw I was like, "This is gonna be a dramatic ending, and there's no way they can be a happy couple at the end of
No,
this,"
it's
because
not
he
gonna
just had
work.
trauma after trauma after trauma of this. Oh, and then I forgot to mention, before he gains his memory, a couple like, an episode before that, our NIS boss guy tried to trigger it multiple times by showing him his NIS file and other tidbits of information, which didn't work, but it caused Lee Joon-gi's character to kind of think about it, like,
Yeah.
debate it, and then he saw his watch, which we later find out was his dead father's
Yeah.
watch, um, so I thought that was interesting because I for sure thought that was gonna trigger it, and then that didn't, and then there was a far more dramatic trigger that occurred. So now we're on the last 3 episodes. He has his memory, they all know who they are, well, the brothers do, and now they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna help you." The brother Asian is like, "Okay, I'm gonna help you because you need to get off this train. You need to be done with this revenge stuff, and obviously, I still want to figure out who killed dad, and since you're telling me you didn't do it, I still need to figure that out."
Yeah.
And this is where I get annoyed with the female lead for, like, the next 3 episodes, because again,
Sh
she pops up where she shouldn't be at all and puts them in danger so much.
she's so annoying.
Because she's so annoying, and she is dead set that the guy is who she thinks he is.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, she is correct, but she didn't go about it the way that is smartly at all, at
No,
all.
especially if you know he's an NIS agent. Like,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
both of them are NIS agents, so why are you making things difficult?
yeah, yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
So the next episode, really the culmination of that is the henchman that her father hired way back when decides to do a coup and attempts to take out Lee Joon-gi and become the second man and get him out of the way. And he's not necessarily doing a coup on her drug lord father. He's doing a coup on Lee
Did you
Joon-gi
get
to get him out of the way. And I think he was also somewhat being used by his own little boss that he had, because his own little boss wanted more of the cut. Getting rid of Lee Joon-gi would have made him more important as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
They did a little coup and attempted to take out Lee Joon-gi, and that's where the female lead shows up. And yes, she did save his life in a way. Stopped him from shooting the gun for 5 seconds. But also, if she hadn't been there in the first place, Lee Joon-gi would have been able to, like, either get away or fight off the guys a lot faster than
True.
he did. So they all are in, like, fighting this warehouse thing. He basically is protecting her, All the henchmen guy are like is telling this hired henchman, "Dude, she is our boss's daughter. You
Daughter.
can't kill her." And he's like, "No, I'm gonna kill Lee Joon-gi. I'm gonna kill her to get to him," type
Exactly.
situation.
That's what I mean by he wasn't smart and he
No,
was
he
just
wasn't.
like whatever he had a goal and anything in the way of that had to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then at the very last second, she did the only smart thing she did in this episode was call the adopted brother and say like, "Hey, he's in trouble. I'm already there. I'm closer. I'll go there first." And then he shows up and saves the day and kills people to get them out of there.
Yeah.
That's the only smart thing she did in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. For once, she did something right that I was with her on. Let me say it twice because this would be the second time she's saving his life, technically.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And now we're down to the final 2 episodes, the
Ugh,
final showdown, which was
so
great,
dramatic.
amazing, but also, yeah, very dramatic. So it all shows up in like she's an art dealer, she's running this huge auction, and then of course her father is using the auction as a drug dealing cover,
Yeah.
which causes the NIS agents to come in. And the whole reason why we find out, the whole reason why the director of NIS wants Lee Joon-gi still in play in this whole undercover thing is because he wants information that is somewhere in this drug lord's house. We don't know what that information exactly is. So Lee Joon-gi finally gets it and hands it off to the guy. I was not anticipating it to explode in his office.
Same.
Yeah, and then also what we also find out in the last 2 episodes is there's a mole in the NIS, and
Yes.
it's not Lee Joon-gi, obviously, there's another mole. I did not I mean, I like the fact they revealed there's a mole. I didn't like who ended up being the mole. I thought that was
Right?
a cop out.
I
Yeah,
wanted it to be the director so bad.
yeah, same. Because I feel like, yeah, we knew the guy, like, we've seen him in scenes, he's been around, but he wasn't memorable enough for it to be really, really, like, impactful with the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So we revealed it was a scene, there was an explosion in the director's office because he plugged that USB in and they were like, "Location tracked. Cool, we're gonna explode your computer." And so we're in the final showdown, and the auction does not go the way it's supposed to go because the NIS agents everything goes to
Swoop
shit at
in.
this auction.
Yeah.
Everything. So you have first off, have Lee Joon-gi is in there where he normally supposed to be. You have the NIS agents out where they're supposed to be. And who walks into this auction that is not supposed to be there? You have the drug lord's daughter. She just
Yeah.
ups and walks there. Honestly, I don't know why she wanted to be there. Like, she said she had something to say, but she didn't really say it.
No. And the other part is she had been doing her own private investigation because she felt her drug lord dad, was using her to traffic stuff. So I think she had finally found a clue that led
Right.
her to believe that, okay, some of these items are either missing or there's something odd about them or they've been replaced. Therefore, I think that's what she was going to talk about at that auction. And I'm just like, sis, even if it is, you knew from the start. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
I just hated the plausible deniability that she
Right.
just sort of played, but you
Right.
knew who your dad was. Yeah.
The other thing that I also did not like about her character is both of these guys, both of them, she asked to walk away from either being an NIS agent or from
From
the
going,
revenge
yeah,
part of it. And I felt like that was really unfair
yeah,
because at least I mean it made a little more sense in terms of the NIS question because that was after his father asked her or told her you can't be in a relationship with him because they're gonna run a background check. Like, that was a little more plausible,
Yeah.
but it was heartbreaking for him to have that question posed to him because that was literally what he wanted to do in his career. Then you had, like, 4, 5, 6 episodes later, she did the exact same thing, and I feel like that was more of a selfish question. Like,
Yeah.
at least the first one is like, okay, it is makes sense, but the other one is like, no, you just wanted him to drop everything to be with you, and that was never going to happen. That was never
No.
gonna happen, ever.
Was the innocent fairy tale likeness that
Right.
she had too,
Yeah,
because I felt like, wait, you know what happened to his mom. You even know, like, I don't think she know what happened to his real dad, but there is a lot there with him, and you're just saying, this work you've put in, just drop it and come with me. What is so great about you? Like, girl, no, I want to
right.
kill this guy.
Yeah, but it's also, again, another thing of she wasn't thinking. What do you think would happen if he just up and disappeared with you? Like, it's not like you're a random girl that he was gonna leave the life to just try and find an idyllic life. You are his boss's daughter
Yeah.
who always has tabs on you no matter what you're doing. There is no way he's gonna be able to lay low with you at all. Uh, and either also, like, walk away from this life with a clean slate. It's too messy. It's too messy. No way. And then in these 2 episodes, he also finds out his father's situation, his birth father's situation. Not only did her father kill his mom, his organization killed his
His
dad.
dad.
Her father literally was the one that put the hit out, or not put the hit out, but did the hit, killed her father as his first mission. So he had double the reason to go after her father at this point.
Like, there's no asking me to back down. I'm going
No,
to kill him.
no.
Yeah.
Not at all. Yeah, so this whole auction thing went to hell in a handbasket because, of course, you have Lee Joon-gi trying to get the information they need to take down, because he's the only one that has eyes on the inside of the building. So he's trying to get Sung Ji-Roo's character into the building to, like, get the camera set up. Then you have her walking in, and of course that brings Jung Kyung-ho's character into the building, which was not planned. And then Jung Kyung Ho is like putting up a distraction for Lee Joon Gi to get into a certain room, and he ends up locked in a closet, which
Yeah.
which causes her to have to like run out and find him. It just goes all wrong. It still kind of works out where they did arrest a lot of bad people at this auction, but of course her father gets away along with her, along with Lee Joon Gi and his one other henchman guy.
Like, anytime she interrupted, it just made the show longer. You're like, ah,
Yes.
this could have
Yes.
ended today, but okay, we have another day where we have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, at this auction, they couldn't just kill off the adopted father. They had to kill off one of my favorite characters in the most loving way possible. He did it because he was the only option. Because again, we had that stupid lackey henchman trying to kill Lee Joon-gi still. Revenge on emotion.
That guy was an idiot.
He couldn't die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sung Ji-Roo's character ends up getting killed by the guy, saving Lee Joon-gi. And then we, of course, have Cockroach Henchmen also die in that scenario.
Finally.
Finally. And then it's to top it off of that too, you not only was he saving Lee Joon-gi, so Lee Joon-gi has that heartbreak again, but also you have again the scenario about Jung Kyung-ho coming into that scene and finding another father figure dead, and
Yeah.
you have to grieve again
Yeah.
for that, which was just like, my god, trauma galore. Trauma galore.
Yeah. I agree with you. But it just hit me. I was like, this trauma, it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
just the way it's being played out and the different characters, it makes sense. I've seen some dramas where they just throw in the trauma for trauma's sake. So,
Yeah, yeah. It was also well paced too. It wasn't
yes.
just like It wasn't just like, okay, you have an episode with 5 deaths in it and there's just trauma. It's like, okay, we have a trauma, they figure it out, they kind of heal from it, and then they throw in a new trauma, and it's like a
Mhm.
kind of a recycling, that type of thing. So I thought that was well paced as well.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, final showdown, final showdown. Well, first off, right before the final showdown, you have this little inkling of he might have the opportunity to just kill the father in the tunnel. I don't know
Yes.
exactly where they were. And of course the daughter walks in and he can't
Again.
kill him right away.
She's like, "Don't. Oh my god, this girl. Let him do it. He's not backing down." Yeah.
So they all run away. Some attempt to go to Thailand, some decide to stay behind, and the female lead and Ji Joon-gi think it's like done for now. And they all have their like date, reunion, one night stand in Thailand, the restaurant,
Yeah.
thinking we're gonna run off into the sunset together.
Yeah.
At least the girl thought that.
After all that we've been through. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then her father finds out who he really is, and in the most dramatic way possible. Again, heartbreaking because he really, like, did care for Lee Joon-gi's character, and he was devastated finding out that information.
He even called him a son, like,
Yeah,
"You're K, my son. It doesn't matter." I was like, "Oh my god." Yeah, he was the sweetest drug lord I've ever met. That's that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Of course, he calls up Kay, calls up Lee Joon-gi, and is like, "We need to have this final showdown, and come meet me." And again, another heartbreaking scene. Jung Kyung-ho meets him in the parking lot as he's going off to, like,
Do this.
and tries to stop him, because they all kind of know that if he goes, he's potentially going to die and he's never coming back.
Yeah.
And literally, the dude is on the ground and is grabbing Lee Joon-gi's ankle, trying to get him to stop getting in this car. And nope, he can't stop him and goes off in his car. And they end up in the final showdown of this factory. I think
Yeah.
it was like a mirror factory or something. But first, he has to like go fight his number one bodyguard that is extremely loyal. But also even talking how the gangster was like really, really like warm and cared. The bodyguard even I was not expecting that either. The bodyguard was like, we don't have to do this. You can walk
Right?
away.
Right?
Like I just let me take him to Thailand. We don't have to do this. And Lee Joon-gi's like, nope. Yeah. And that was a rough fight.
It
It's a
was.
rough fight.
It was. And I just feel like Ijingi is just there's just so much that has happened to me that if I don't do this, it just doesn't make sense. I have to finish.
Right.
I'm gone
Right.
past the point of return. So I like you, but if you're not gonna get out of my way, you're gonna get it. And
Right.
yo, that
He got it.
fight, yeah.
That fight was intense. So he gets past the bodyguard, and then we have the final showdown with the father. I have a lot to say about this because one, I think to have it done in a mirror factory was brilliant. It was really brilliant because obviously you have reflection, you have to go around the columns, you have a bunch of stuff. So it made it a little more exciting than them just shooting guns at each other from either end of the room. But also, what surprised me was how the father went out, how he died. Because Lee Joon-gi essentially did not kill him,
No.
which I think again speaks to the father's caring for him and
Yeah.
like not wanting that on his hands
Yeah.
when he's already done so much. That was so surprising just to have to see him kill himself basically. He
Yeah.
shot himself
Yeah.
and made that decision saying like, "Okay, I'm either dying by the guy I considered a son or I'm gonna save that trauma for him and die by my own hands, and he's still going to get what he wants out of the scenario."
Which
Brilliant.
I thought it was brilliant, and I also thought it was also a way of saving his daughter in a sense, like
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
just that relationship. The guy was a good guy, period.
he was.
He
He was
was
a
a
good
good
guy. Yeah,
guy. He he just had a shitty job, that's all.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the more heartbreaking part of that too is at that moment he found out who his father was,
Yes.
which he did not know up until the last 10 minutes of the show. Because he knew he had killed his mother, but he didn't realize that his father was his first
Kill
hit,
too.
his first job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the relationship he had with the father was also a really caring relationship,
Yeah.
and the fact that he had to kill him, you could tell affected him already, and that was the first time he was given a job by the boss as well.
It was
I found
tragic.
his character to be fascinating. Yeah, it was
Me
really
too.
tragic, really tragic. At first, at the end, I thought that because Lee Joon-gi at this point was, 1, beat up by the bodyguard, and he took a beating. Also, he was shot. So that last scene, which I think was intentional, when they, like, panned out and you saw them doing the gang handshake,
Yeah.
I thought he died, and I think that was intentional. Because Jung Kyung Ho's character pops up in the scene too, and he, like, falls to his knees, and you get the impression that they both died.
Mhm. Yes, especially with like they were lying on on glass and you were like, "Oh, it's over. It's over."
Yeah,
But I read it later on as dying of his gangster self, if you will.
right. Yeah, yeah. I agree, I agree.
And then
Also, his brother's not gonna let him die and actually not
no,
die, especially if he's in the same room at that point.
right? No, he's not going to die. And then he pops up again and
Yeah, he's
he
a
is
black ops agent. Yeah, so the very, very end, I liked how they did it. I love the fact that it didn't just end with him dying. We actually got what happened afterwards. So we got Nam Sung-mi's character. She at first we thought she had a kid, but it wasn't in her.
they played us. They played us for
They
sure.
played us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they played us for sure. She basically was babysitting Jung Kyung Ho's character's kid, who he ended up with
The woman from NIS.
the woman numbers person. Yeah, that had a boring life, which I liked. It was fun.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I did not predict that at all. I think maybe because I just didn't see how they could be together. And at this point, they weren't together. And they never really saw each other again, or at least we didn't see them. It was implied. So I was like, oh my God, she had a baby with Jung Kyung Ho. Cool. And then I realized who it actually was.
No, I thought she had a baby after she and Lee Joon-gi slept together. I thought that was a product of
I
that
didn't
night.
even think of that. I didn't even think of that at all.
Was thinking of that. So I was expecting a scene like, your dad was a great man or something like that. So I
Right.
thought that was Lee Joon-gi's kid until it came out. Oh, you're babysitting. Oh, you're not together. Oh, yeah. So I liked that twist because it sort of strayed away from the typical story
Right.
they would tell. Yeah.
That didn't even cross my mind. I didn't even think of that. I either thought she was a single mother for some reason, but I didn't click that it might have been Lee Joon-gi's kid, or I thought she had married his brother.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so they got married. Jung Kyung-ho got married to the tech person. They have a kid. Nam Sung-mi is still doing her little art business thing.
Yeah.
She announces she's going to go to Paris.
Yeah.
And the adopted brother, Jung Kyung Ho's character has like moved on. He's married someone else. He's like, oh, cool, that's great. And then we go to Jung Kyung Ho in I don't remember where they were.
I
I'm
feel
assuming
like
Thailand again.
no, I think it was Japan because they were having
Oh, it might have been Japan.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was talking Japanese.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
He meets Lee Joon-gi in Japan, who is now an undercover agent in Japan. So he basically became an NIS agent officially again and is now just doing black ops the
Yeah.
entire time. And Jung Kyung Ho is his handler.
Yep.
because why wouldn't he be? No one else is gonna handle you. I'm making sure you're not dying so your female lead can see you again eventually. And then he announces he's going to Paris as well. So it's implied that they're going to either see each other or be together in Paris somehow. Somehow.
I didn't read it as that. I read it more like, fated lovers. Eventually they'll meet
Mm,
again. So
yeah.
this time in Paris, he could be walking down the street and he might see her. I'm sort of glad they didn't give that to us because the way it ended, if today they said they were going to do a season two, it would totally make sense. Like a
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
mission. It turns out that the director was really a bad guy. They could do so
Yeah.
much with it. Yeah.
Yeah. The only the only thing I had, which I was just like, again, trauma. Because it was very clear that like Lee Joon-gi went straight into another black ops operation. So she had to relive him dying again,
My
which they didn't
God.
show. After realizing that after ending the show, I was like, okay, totally makes sense why she's still single. Like she
Yeah.
didn't move on and she's never gonna move on.
Yeah.
It took me a couple hours after finishes to realize that's what happened because it went straight from him dying in that factory to her having a baby in the park. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, they did that to her again." Like, that's horrible.
That is horrible. I'm glad they didn't show it to us. But I also wonder if deep down she knew he was alive somewhere because she's already
Yeah.
been through it once.
Or maybe Jung Kyung Ho told her and, like, just said, "Do not do anything stupid, or I will find you."
I don't think she's capable.
No,
She would have
no,
done
not at
something
all.
silly. Yeah.
Not at all.
So
Yeah.
I feel like deep down she knew that he was
Yeah.
somewhere because she was bright and happy.
Right. And
Fated
that's the end of the
lovers.
drama.
I know. Oh, that was such a great show.
It was a really fun show, really fun show.
I wonder if people will watch it. And they should, like, listeners, if you watch it, come into my DMs. Tell me
Yeah.
what you think because this was TV. These days, TV is not doing it like that anymore.
Right. Yeah, yeah, it definitely is a treat, and it's different from what you're getting now.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
like, even, like, on the violence part,
Yes.
it's violent, it definitely is, but it's nothing compared to what we get right now.
No.
Not at all, not at all. Okay, so that was our review of this K-drama. Do you have anything else you wanna say before we close this out, Carol?
Don't be shy or don't be hesitant to go back to old stuff because there's some
Yeah.
gems in
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Yeah. That's all I
yes.
got to say.
And I totally agree. Where can they find you if they wanna DM you about this show?
You can find me on Instagram as KdramasMusings. And please, yes, DM me. I'd love to hear what you think. And I also have a list of recommendations from 2007 on K dramas you should watch on my profile. So do check it out. Watch any of them. I guarantee you'll enjoy all of them. And let's talk about
Mhm.
it.
Well, thank you for joining me on this episode. I was really glad that you made me watch this. Because honestly, I don't know when I would have gotten around to watching it, really. And I look forward to doing more of these with you because, again, you're my like older drama person that I always like. I mean, we'll do new ones too,
Yeah.
obviously. It's not just going to be me using you to watch older drama.
You know that I have another one for you. Like if Heartless City comes back, we should do that. But also, was it Devil or Lucifer? I think it was Lucifer
Oh, Lucifer.
with
Yeah, yeah,
Ju
yeah.
Ji Hoon and Ki Ju. Oh, that was good. I would describe that. I'll DM you. I'll DM you what I describe that. Just leave it as a cliffhanger for our listeners. But yes,
Thank you for being on the podcast today, Carol, and we'll see you in the next one.
bye.
Bye. If you want to continue the conversations about dramas that were started in this episode, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky under the username No Sleep for Dramas. That is No Sleep, the number 4 dramas, just like in the title of the podcast. This podcast is also an expansion of my blog, so you can visit my blog at www.nosleepfordramas.com, the number 4 dramas.com, and find multiple years of blog posts already available at your fingertips. All links are in the description of this episode. Finally, please give this podcast a like or a follow wherever you listen to the podcast. Leaving a comment or a review also helps a lot. We love hearing ideas and feedback from all of you. Share the podcast with your friends as well. Thank you for listening. This has been an episode of the No Sleep for Dramas podcast, and I am your host, Caitlin. I will see you here next time, and I hope you get no sleep chasing the next episode just like me. Good night.